So now we are at the point in the day where the groom and his groomsmen have now been filmed and
Have been shot.
have been shot.
Shot to pieces.
Yeah.
Minimal blood loss.
Smithereens. Anyway, so they've been shot.
Isn't it smithereens?
I know it's smithereens.
Smothereens.
I said smithereens.
Did we smother them?
No, we did not know. In photographs and video, yes.
Yes. And the venue detail
Yes.
and the venue itself. What happens next?
The bride.
Caroline's favorite part of the
I
day,
love
except
it.
for chapel and
Everything
hour.
But I do really, really, really like the bride getting ready. There's this hum of anticipation and everybody's excited and there's usually a good dash of chaos in there. So I really like that. When we arrive at where the bride's getting ready, I'll always start with her details. So that's shoes and perfume and earrings, jewelry, flowers.
I never know when to go into the bride's room because you never know if it's safe,
Man-friendly.
for me to just walk in there.
But that's good because I always leave you outside and then go in. But sometimes I get so caught up in conversation
That you forget about me.
And then, she forgets about us. And you're stuck outside like,
Hi.
Yeah, I would also like to film.
You know what I was paid to do, like on the day.
Yeah.
And I always go in, say hello, check that everything's fine, and then I call you guys in.
Yes.
Then it's details that we photograph, either in the room or outside, wherever the light's best, or there's available space for that.
Sometimes we forget that it must be awkward at first for a group of ladies that
Yeah.
know each other very well.
Hopefully.
and they've been in this whole day thing already
Yes.
Yeah.
since 8 o'clock.
Yes.
But that's why when we arrive at the venue, we'll always go and say
Proper.
hello first, just for that initial contact, and then
But what I want to say is it must be a bit awkward to have two strange men walking into a space.
Are you strange?
I'm strange to them.
We've heard earlier that you're somewhat strange. You have some tendencies with backing.
Let me rephrase. It must
unknown.
It must be strange
No, I think what you're trying to say,
Disconcerting.
to have unfamiliar men.
it's a new presence and a new energy
Yes.
that comes into a room that's already established.
Exactly. Thank you for
You're very welcome.
giving me very nice words to work with. They have now dealt with me via email or in person, and they know that it's me and it's me that
Yeah.
coming to film and everything. But it's still, they are in their gowns, they are with their mothers and with their friends, siblings, in a space that is
Female dominated.
That's female dominated, and they feel comfortable there. And I come into that space as somebody that they're not familiar with, having
Yeah.
somebody that they do not know maybe that well in that space. Plus, I'm going to be filming them, which
Yeah.
adds to that awareness that there's now people with cameras,
Yes.
and we've just got to be aware of how we navigate that.
So you kind of have to make yourself small. You know, if you're a man, you don't go in there and
Dominant.
you're kind of a little bit more quiet, a little bit more in the
Yes.
corner. Where with the guys beforehand, you like very with the guys.
That's
you know?
exactly right. That's what
and
I
This
do.
is more my time.
That's more your
where
territory.
I'm talking a lot. Well,
Yes.
I'll be chatting and
Yeah.
we're swapping out stories, and I'll hear how your day has been and etc.
It's nice to just fall into your slipstream.
Yes, good word.
There.
and then we are also very finely tuned to when do we need to go out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also you have to remember that most getting ready and dressed spaces have more than one room.
Section.
So there's the communal room where we, for example, can operate freely and be there, and then
Yeah.
you've got the getting dressed room or the bedroom section.
Yes.
Where there's another door for you to knock on and to just make sure, is it okay
Yeah.
for me to come in at this stage?
Yeah.
So we try to be very respectful of that. Even
Yeah.
you, I mean,
Yeah.
you respect the
They've
forum
got to
and
feel comfortable because when they feel comfortable, it translates to the photos and the video. So
Yeah.
you want to create that as much as possible.
But I
Yeah.
think the way that we've set up that time as well, it kind of let me illustrate this. So we go in and we shoot the details, and immediately as soon as I'm done with the details, and while I'm doing details, we chat a little bit with, well, I'm chatting with bridesmaids and the bride and the mother of the bride, whoever's there. Immediately after that, we go and do champagne shots, all the girls in their robes or pajamas or matching dresses or whatever, and that is usually a high, like a fun thing, and
Yeah.
it's very hyped, and then they get to know you a little bit better. So instead of focusing on you, they're busy with something, and that eases everybody into that. And it's
Absolutely.
great fun, and we laugh, and then we usually I do that outside as well. So we have that, little bit of a walk just to chat and keep the body moving, so you're not focused on that. Then we do the champagne, which is Ben's absolute fear
I'm
moment
nervous.
of the day.
I'm nervous with the champagne. That champagne shot where champagne goes everywhere.
Yeah, and she always makes them aim for me.
Yes, the videographer. When in doubt, aim for the videographer, not the photographer.
I'm not.
But
Yeah, I'm nervous about like makeup and stuff.
Yeah,
But-
Ben's nervous about it. Ladies, Ben is nervous about your makeup. I am not.
No, you are
I-
nervous, but you
no.
trust the ability of the bride. To,
And the makeup artist. I
Yeah.
know, I can tell if you've got.
But
good
we
makeup
also
on.
always we
Yeah.
do that when a bride wants to do
Yes.
it. If a bride is uncomfortable or she doesn't want that spraying champagne shot, of course we don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great for video. It's lots
Yes.
of movement. It's like you say, it's the hype. It's fun. There's lots of laughter.
To
So
ease everybody into
I
it.
really do enjoy it a lot, even though I do get nervous as well. It's so funny. When I look at the edit,
Trust.
every single time when I look at the edit of that little portion, I know the pop is coming, but I still have that camera shake.
It's because you
When
don't
it
spend
does-
quality time with champagne bottles.
And both you and I have been adequately sprayed with champagne.
Likewise.
And then I usually spend about 1 or 2 days afterwards for the check to come. I just see the guys spray champagne after they've won the F1.
Yes.
And then they get a massive check. And
But
the
we
massive
don't.
check has never come.
No.
It's very disappointing to get sprayed with champagne.
Okay.
And
De
never-
Villiers, let's do the
Yeah.
counselling pose.
Yeah, I want the check for being sprayed with champagne.
Don't be so corky.
Don't be so cheeky.
Oh, that was so forced.
Yeah, so it's a champagne shot. And I must say that you are very good at that, to immediately connect to people
Yeah.
and become
Yeah.
one of the girls, so to speak.
But that boils down to being invested in your client again.
Yeah,
Like, we want to be there. We are invested in our clients, and we're excited to capture the day. So it's not fake enthusiasm or a fake connection that we foster with them. It really is authentic.
yeah, you really do enjoy
Yeah.
that whole section of all sections of the day, but you enjoy that and the fun and the joy and the anticipation and
Yeah. The funniest thing usually after the champagne shots is my clients or a bridesmaid or the mother of the bride will always offer a glass of champagne to
Yeah.
me. I'm like, thank you so much. And I really, really love champagne or MCC. I am a big fan. But maybe not before your chapel where I still need to work.
yeah, it's like the guys offering us whiskey.
Yes.
Oh, beer.
Like
And it's
10:30 in the
Yeah.
morning.
Would you like some?
Would you like some whiskey? Thank you. It's very thoughtful of you, but no, we can't have whiskey now.
I think
Yeah.
that also shows how the lines blurred from being
Service provider.
a service provider
Yeah.
to somebody that's in the inner circle, which I find is such a good kind of
Gauge.
gauge to see where
true.
we are, how comfortable they are, and how do they view us as just merely a service provider,
That's
or
true.
have we kind of gone into being part of the group?
Yeah, we've smoked many cigars
Oh yes, that I still do.
with groomsmen.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and it's not a requirement, but you are 100% correct that it shows how, how we are included and
Yes.
Yeah.
how we're not seen as
No,
outsiders, and
I've
that's wonderful.
smoked quite a few cigars with the father of either the groom or the bride late in the evening,
Yeah,
Very cool.
where I would be invited to sit down with
yeah.
the father or
It's nice to be
That's it.
appreciated that way.
and that's lovely because
Yes.
we've had this connection, and then to share in that.
But back to the bride.
Okay, so then we're done with champagne shots. Everybody came out of it unscathed, unharmed. Makeup is still intact.
Never had any problems.
Ben and De Villiers' heart palpitations have calmed down a little
Wiping
bit.
the champagne
With-
off my camera.
Yes, there we go. Sticky buttons corrected.
Yeah.
And then we go in. Now it's the getting ready part. So the rule of thumb here is everybody that's going to dress the bride needs to get pretty now. Meaning, if she opts that either her mother or the bridesmaid or the maid of honor, they need to get ready now.
Yeah.
And I love this time. Well, I say this a lot, sorry. But this gives me 5 to 10 minutes where I can calm the bride, focus her attention, like we're going to get dressed now. I really, like, you should go to the bathroom now. You won't have time again for the next 4 hours. So do that. If you need to do touch up, do this in this time. If you need to pack your clutch, do it now. This is kind of your last prep because now the real fun stuff that we're here for, the dress that you bought a year or 6 months in advance, everything's going to come together now. So let's prep so that you are ready to just soak up the emotion.
Very cool, because I've seen weddings where at that exact time a lot of distractions would come the bride's way. All of a sudden everybody wants to ask her something or needs her attention or put her on a phone with the DJ
which is not
finding the
necessary.
venue, which is ridiculous.
No. So I have this thing, actually being 10 a little bit, where if I see the bride is a little bit frazzled,
Yeah.
hankies, and I can do like deep in through your nose, blow it out through your mouth. Again.
Oh, I feel so
And then I'm
calm
like,
now.
again, and then I start talking like, we're going to get in your dress now.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. The venue is set. Your makeup looks really, really good.
Yeah.
Love the highlighter, which I always do. Like everything is good to go. I've got everything here. The girls are almost done. It's very soothing. If I see the bride needs it. And then we go into getting dressed. And then I send the both of you out. And then it's where the bride gets into her dress and I do a quick sweep and like just take things out. And I never photograph this until she gives me the okay. Like, okay, I've been zipped up. I'm good now. And we've done all the stuff that needs to be done. So I am 9 out of 10 times I will be the one adjusting your dress. Because I understand wedding dresses. And it's so important. You think it's just putting it on, but wedding dress kind of, it has an anatomy and a mind of its own. So you need to understand the anatomy of a wedding gown. And if you pull certain layers or adjust certain things, your dress will instantly fit better.
Okay.
Depending on the style of the dress, you will know what to adjust to make it good. And what to also remember is wedding dresses alter during the wedding day. As soon as the fabric gets warmer and stretches, or if you've got a lace-up gown, everything will kind of shift, and you have to take that into account. So I am constantly checking, not the train, that's Ben's job, and how the dress falls. I'm checking small things like, did the lining pop out? What's happening here? What's happening in the back? Is there a little fold that's coming up? Should I just adjust the bottom end of your dress? So there's so many things that I keep on looking at that pertains to the anatomy of a dress and how it fits on your body. So I do all of that, and then De Villiers comes in.
Do you feel adequately educated at this stage?
I must say, I have seen.
Did you know?
I have seen her do this. No, I have noticed this. I obviously do not look at the dress with the same keen anatomical eye that you look at the dress with.
I was a biology major,
Oh, well, there you go.
in my previous life.
But I have seen you do this. And I think it's it's wonderful that you take the time and you have the attention to adjust things like that, which
If needed.
if needed.
But I have to say, Ben does the same thing with the guys.
Yeah.
So we always have either boob tape or double-sided tape in our camera bag, along with plasters, Myprodolls, Smecta. We can probably get you through anything on your wedding day. And Ben will always check, like, where's your pocket square? Where's your boutonniere? Ben will probably be the one that pins your boutonniere on your...
and tie your tie.
and tie your tie. And
If
Ben,
needed.
if needed, again, we always gauge, like, is this needed or not? But Ben always has double-sided tapes to just put behind your tie on the little short end piece of the
if it
tie,
doesn't
whatever
go-
it's called.
If it's not long enough to fit into
Yes.
a little loop.
If we see the father of the bride coming into for a first look, for instance, Ben will always check his tie and just, correct if something needs to be
Or
corrected.
the
And
vents
if
in the jackets, for
yes,
example.
vents are really cut open.
Yeah.
So we always check that. And then again, to secure your pocket square as well. And to kind of,
If you have one.
yes, and to advise the client, like, okay, so you've got 2 buttons on your jacket. We advise you, our recommendation is always, not you should, but we recommend only buttoning your top button,
Yeah.
or etiquette says on your waistcoat to unbutton your bottom button, or just small things like that
Yep.
that really adds to the level of sophistication to your photographs.
Yeah.
I know, for instance, many years ago, some of the top blogs or publications would really look like, did you wear your jacket correctly? Did the groom wear his jacket correctly? And that would sometimes be like, would they take this wedding to publish on a blog or not?
Oh, very interesting.
So we really check those things.
Yeah.
And it's, again, the client can take it or leave it. If you feel you need to button both, I'm happy. But I gave you the information and you can do with that.
And we always do that just in a conversational, very friendly style as we are photographing and talking,
Yes.
as the guy is putting his jacket on. for
It's not a
example.
lecture session.
Yeah, no, if you see him go for the second button, I just explain, listen, the jacket has been designed
Yeah.
with only one button in mind, and the second button is decoration. Then I always show, if you pull this bottom button
Yeah.
closer, then the jacket makes
That's
the
very
line.
cute. Like being behind him in a mirror, like, can you see?
And then they usually go like, I've never thought about that,
Yeah.
but the jacket does look better, and that's
Yeah.
the way it's been done.
Because
So it's never a lecture. It's never. We never give instruction. We just always, like, we really want our clients to look the best they could possibly can.
yes, and be
Um,
comfortable.
And be comfortable, because the second button also makes you quite more uncomfortable. But we're actually supposed to be talking about
Yes,
the bride
but the
getting ready.
reality is, the last thing I wanted to say about this, the reality is most people work from home these days. And if you do go into the office, rarely do you need a suit and tie
Yeah.
every day. It's not, for most occupations,
It's not
you
needed.
just don't need it anymore. So we've kind of grown out of that.
Yep.
And transitioned to more relaxed workwear. So it's not general knowledge anymore. That's all I wanted to say. That's why we're
In
here.
the meantime, I'm sitting outside the bridal
Twiddling your
suite,
fingers.
hoping that you'll call me.
But I do. I
Why
always
do you
call
hope
you.
that she calls you? Because I'm sitting there telling you terrible jokes.
Very dry sense of humor, guys.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay, so then I call De Villiers in as soon as all of the prep work with her dress is done. And then we do the really, like, getting ready. When mom zips you up,
Yes.
where earrings are put on, dressing shoes,
Very
etc.
emotional moment. Because it now becomes that reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always that moment where you're like, I am a bride.
Yeah.
And it usually goes with either putting on the dress or popping in the veil. Then it's like, oh man,
Yeah.
I am bride
You
today.
see it sink in.
Yes. And then from there on out, I do portraits. Portraits of the bride, portraits of the bridesmaids, depending on the space, the time, etc. Things that will happen during that time as well as stuff like bridesmaid reveal, if they haven't seen your dress. Father reveal, where your dad sees you the first time, which is such a cool moment if done correctly. So it's always a we have a certain way of setting that up to feel
Yeah.
like it's authentic again and real emotion of just the dad seeing his daughter entering this new chapter in her life.
So especially the portion where the father sees his daughter for the first time is such a very cool part for video. But
Yeah.
it's always such a nervous part for me because I'm already thinking about setting up for
Chapel.
ceremony.
Yeah.
Because for video, I need to have that 20 minutes to 30 minutes to make sure that I have 2 cameras set up. I have to put a microphone on your reverend, your pastor, your dominee.
Because you couldn't go to his house at 7.
Exactly. So I have to then do it there. And I have to put a mic on the groom. Why do I put a mic on the groom? I've had it many times where I walk with the mic to the groom and I say to him, I have to put a mic on you. And he said, but I'm not talking. And I said, you're going to say I do, aren't you?
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's
I said,
why we're there.
you would like to hear that in the video, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
So that's why we do it.
Yeah.
For the I do's. Or for the vows, the personal vows.
Yeah.
A lot of people do personal vows. And the microphone on the groom captures that.
Yeah.
And it also captures the bride.
Yeah.
And I need a certain amount of time to set all of that up well before the ceremony starts. And if things run late with those final moments with the bride, then it's always a touch and go for me. It's,
Yeah.
I would have liked to also have the father see the bride at 8 a.m. so I
Yeah.
can tick it off.
Can you do your makeup promptly starting at 4,
I must
please?
say that you never seem like worried,
Yeah.
Thank you.
and you always obviously pull it off. And
Yeah.
Yes.
most of the times you do actually, if Caroline does portraits, you do portraits with her, and
Yes.
you go like a very short time before the actual
Yeah.
ceremony time. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'm very surprised at how efficiently you seem to be able to pull it all off.
For me, one of the most critical parts that where I have to be ready
Yeah.
is the bride walking down the aisle.
Yeah.
And that takes me back into portraits with the bride where I'm already thinking about
Yeah.
being ready for that. And not missing her dad seeing her. Still
Yeah.
capturing that in a very natural and comfortable way.
Yeah.
I think it's for my experience has been that's been happening more where she'll have a special moment with her dad. I remember about 8 years ago it wasn't so prevalent. I don't know
No, it wasn't
if
at
it's
all.
your experience, but
Yeah.
it's become
But I love it.
it's amazing.
I'm happy they've included
Yes.
it. So when we walk from from the bride getting ready to chapel, that's kind of where I need to have a calm moment. I
Okay.
need to switch my cards, so I'm sure I've got fresh cards in for the ceremony, and I need to switch batteries. So just to make sure all the gear is checked before I enter the chapel, because as soon as I come close to chapel, I want to photograph the outside or maybe a detail or whatever catches my eye, and then I'm back into full work mode. So I need to do that before
Yeah.
entering. But that's just the logistic on my side. And I do agree with you. There are certain spaces, times during the wedding day where your videography takes first place, if that makes sense. So during chapel, it's split, but you get preference in certain things. And then speeches, where I can get one shot and it's fine. You need to get everything.
Thank you very much for that consideration.
I still walk in front of your cameras. I'm very sorry, but I do try.
Like almost never.
No, you don't.
Oh, but
And-
I try.
And I think that's also a good thing about having worked together for quite a while is we tend to know
Yeah.
No.
where
you're gonna be.
where you're gonna be, where she's gonna be, where
Yeah.
I'm gonna be. There's no real. I also, to a large extent, I think both of us know the lenses that you work
Yes.
with.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. That's such a pet peeve when I work with another videographer. And usually at the beginning of the day, I'll say, I work on a 50mm. If you tell me 50mm, I immediately know
No,
what
where
your
it
range
is.
is going
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
So I work on a 50mm 90% of the day, and then I switch between a zoom lens every now and again, but 50mm, especially in chapel. That means I tell this to the videographer to bear that in mind. And it's sad when they don't know what I'm saying to them.
Yeah, what your field is.
Yes.
Yeah, so many videographers don't even know how the
Or just completely disregard it.
lenses work, and we've spoken about that in previous podcasts. Our experience is so important. Yeah, and then you get a videographer who's doing their first or 10th or 20th wedding, and they
Just oblivious to it.
they don't know how wide their lenses go, and that's so frustrating. But obviously we work around that, because once again,
Yeah.
choosing service providers is the choice of
The client.
the client.
Yeah.
So if they choose to have a videographer that's inexperienced, that's their choice, and we have to make it work. We have to deliver the same product no matter what the day.
Yes.
So for instance, with you, I always know what you're working on and which camera is kind of standing where is. It's like usually a 70 to 200 that's focused on the pastor,
Yes.
right?
Correct.
Yes. And you're usually with a 70, 24-70 next to me, and there's a 50mm somewhere. Sometimes, but usually only two cameras,
It's usually
right?
two. Yes, the space, I think, doesn't. It would obviously be better to have a third camera, but I think space-wise, it intrudes for me in the service becoming a production.
Yes.
Where people can't even see tripods, they can't see the couple. So I think it's a fine line to capture it all, but let it still unfold in the way that it should.
And that's something that we're very focused on, is to be
Yes.
as unobtrusive as possible during
And
the
respectful.
ceremony. And
Yes.
we want to respect. We want to respect your ceremony and have it be the special moment that it is. So
Yeah.
if there's a sermon, for example, we generally go and sit down.
Because there's nothing to photograph in that stage. I've usually, at that point,
Yeah.
I've already photographed the parents and the bridesmaids and little
Yeah.
details. And as well, I don't want to be in your shots during the service portion, like the message, or it depends on, what type of service you have. But really to just stay out of your way, because the whole idea of getting a video is so that you can listen back to this.
Yes.
And then without having a photographer, like,
And
everywhere
people are
distracting you.
People are there to witness.
Yeah.
And if they witness photographers and videographers running around,
It's distracting.
it's distracting, and it's important that the guests actually witness
Yes.
what's being promised, because that's what they're there for in the ceremony
Yeah.
section. And we've had, instances where there would be between 4 and 6 tripods
Oh, yeah.
in front of in the front section of the ceremony.
And there's no way
and
to
we
get a
would
clean shot.
Instruction: do not get in our shots. And we're like, you've got 6 cameras.
Which one?
With 4 of them with wide angle lenses.
Yeah.
Sort of impossible not to be in the
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, zoomed fully open. and
Yeah.
or pulled fully open, and we like, how is it possible for us not to be in your shots, which makes 2 cameras, and it's so difficult not to fall over tripods, because they're literally filling the entire space.
That's exactly what I'm
then
trying
you have,
to
for
avoid.
example, we've had instances where the videographer would go into mini tantrums then with 4 to 6 cameras if we walk in front of a lens, or if we're in a shot that we have no idea where the shots end and the shots begin,
Yeah.
and they make a little angry fury tantrum, and it's obvious for everybody that this videographer is making a
Oh,
tantrum.
that's so cringeworthy, because I don't want attention on us at all during
Yes.
ceremony.
That's-
We are invisible.
We have to be and we
It's
also
embarrassing.
choose our cameras to have very silent shutters,
Yeah.
so that we don't clack, 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 clack.
Yeah.
We don't do that in the chapel.
Yeah.
So what's nice about your 2 camera setup that you currently use is, Caroline, for example, just quietly call me over and walk down the aisle and look at me, and I can show her stop. Then she knows from this point onward, she is in the shot.
Yeah.
Then she knows from, and I also know, but as I said, we also at this stage we know your lenses. We know we can move up to that point without interfering with your shot.
Yeah.
And we want to respect
Yeah.
the video part of a ceremony, of the entire day. We want the client to have amazing video, but it becomes impossible if you're told to stay out of shots
Yeah.
and there are
Yes.
6 cameras running.
Yeah,
And
it's
there are little
unrealistic.
Yeah.
You know, so
Expectations, like, can you meet? Do you have
Yeah.
realistic expectations?
and confidence, like we can be very subtle and unobtrusive and still get all the shots.
No, I've never felt, Caroline, with you, especially in the ceremony part, that my frustration of why can I not get a clean aisle shot of the bride coming
Thank
down
you.
the aisle. I've never felt that. I have felt that many times in my life.
Yeah.
Where photographers would deliberately go stand right in the aisle, right in front of my camera, and then it's usually at that point where she walks down where you really can't do anything about it, because you will create a scene if you walk forward and drag the person out of the way.
Yeah.
And we do get the ones who make the scenes. We have seen.
The scenes.
We have seen it happen quite a
Yes.
And
few
it's
times.
sad because
That's
it just
It's
focuses
unnecessary.
it focused the
Yeah.
attention on the service provider and not on the
Which is
bride
exactly what you don't
and the
want.
groom and the couple
So-
and the moment.
My approach when I leave the bride going to the ceremony is I'm focused on getting ready for when she walks down the aisle.
Yeah.
That's my only focus. And that, to me, entails meeting the pastor,
Yeah.
introducing myself
Yes.
politely, and explaining to him that
Or her. Yeah.
where I would like to be when she walks down the aisle. Normally it's quite close to him or her.
And I'm very close to you at that point
Yes.
as well. We're like 3 sardines in a
That's
tin
right.
can.
And explaining to him or her that once she's in the chapel, I will move away, and telling him that I will be subtle and I will not be a disruption.
Yeah.
And also requesting or asking, is there anything from his side that he would like me to do or not do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them do
Have
requests-
restrictions.
Have restrictions.
Yes, I mean,
which
there's
is
a lot
fine.
of priests that tell you you're not allowed to move around or you can't go in certain places,
Yeah.
or even some churches that don't allow flash photography.
Yes.
So you need to really know about all of this beforehand.
Yes.
And
be-
it differs
be
from
prepared.
priest to
Yeah.
pastor to
Yes.
whoever. It just goes from person to person.
Yeah. And you get that information like literally minutes before the bride.
And then
walks in.
change
And
game
you have to
plan.
be ready.
Yeah.
And that's once again where experience is very helpful. You've done it before.
Yeah.
So we've worked in Catholic, Greek, Orthodox, Presbyterian,
Indian.
you name it, Indian,
Jewish.
Jewish
Yes. It's all
environments,
different.
and we respect all those forums, and there are different expectations and
Yes.
restrictions, and that's fine.
That's fine.
It's not our day, and we are there to document, and that's the part that we
Yeah.
enjoy is documenting.
Okay, so then we're out of chapel.
No, you haven't cried yet.
But I will just to finish that off. I will ask the pastor if I could put a microphone on him to capture the service. They normally don't have an issue with that. And then for me, the critical moment is when she walks down the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where we both have equal importance. You have to have a good shot, and I have to have a good shot.
Yeah.
Because it
But
only
we always
happens once.
do. We're right next to each other,
Yes.
and at least at this stage, De Villiers is fine with me being
Really close.
really close.
Yes.
So
Sometimes I feel very left out because I'm there on the side, all on my own.
nobody touching your shoulder.
Nobody next to me, nobody. I'm there,
Aw.
second shooting on my poor little own.
How does this make you feel?
Obviously, I want things then to just run as smoothly throughout the service, which is nice because I've had photographers that would take photos the entire service.
Yeah. And run around.
And my question is just, what of?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, they're just standing still.
They're just standing still. It is just a disruption.
Distraction.
So even I need to walk around a little bit more because I need to check that the lighting is fine. It is still recording.
Yeah.
It's a continuous thing.
But we do that for you as well. If we sit somewhere, I'll always check, like,
Yes.
is the red light still blinking?
Yeah.
Is the battery fine? But I do that for all videographers.
Yeah.
I have to say, if I see it's not recording anymore or that the battery is low, I'll always walk up to the videographer
Yeah.
and say, like, just check
But
that
that's
camera.
never the case with the videos
No.
because he's well prepared and he also does his battery changes at the right time
Yeah.
before the ceremony.
But it can happen,
Yeah.
right?
What's really difficult
We
is-
look out for each other. I
Yeah.
think that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. What's really difficult with outside chapels is you have to walk around and it's just branches and leaves.
Yeah,
You
you're
don't
like-
think it's like
Yes.
and you want to respect
And a
this
little,
forest.
like, dust cloud coming out.
Yeah, so you kind of walk like somebody that's hunting or something. You try and step in the places where you see you're gonna make the least noise.
Yes, exactly right.
Great fun.
Yeah, great fun. So yeah, that ceremony and it's always very beautiful to see.
Yeah.
I mean that to a large extent is that's the moment that the day is about, where the couple in front of their witnesses just
Promises.
make their promises and commit to each other.
Well, if that didn't happen, we won't have the rest of the day.
Yeah, imagine
That's kind
that.
of like a pivotal point.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
if
important.
this doesn't happen, we will not have canapes.
No,
Or maybe
you
we
have
will
canapes,
have
but
canapes.
uncomfortable canapes. But
Awkward.
that's never happened. I mean, that's never happened.
More than 1,000
Runaway
weddings
bride.
No, we've never had that though.
Never had that.
Did you?
So-
No.
Good thing that happens after confetti before family photos.
You see right after confetti.
No, that
No.
too, but not that. Is everybody is on such a high and they're elated. It's everybody congratulating the
Yeah.
couple. That makes such beautiful
Yeah.
candid
I
moments.
also like those.
So it's such an emotion-full time. People congratulating you, wishing you well, seeing family and friends that's not always possible to visit every week
Yeah.
because they live on another continent. And just to have everybody there
Yeah.
makes a beautiful photographs. I highly, highly recommend spending
And
a good portion of time
unposed.
there.
It's completely
Yes,
unposed.
it's natural. That's like your reportage part of the day. So not your whole wedding is posed, but this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really happy time. And then we have a fork in the road. Either depending on available light, the weather, the timeline, etc. We either do, and location.
Yeah.
We would either do family photographs immediately and get that over and done with, or we would head down for canapes and cutting of cake and mingling. So this is the one thing that I really, really recommend to my clients to add into their timeline is to spend time with your guests during cocktail hour. It's the best part of the day. You are freshly married, you're very happy, you can have a drink, a signature cocktail, a glass of champagne, a beer, whatever, have something to eat before doing your photos.
Because I've heard that complaint so many times where guests would say, we were at a wedding and when we got out from the ceremony, we had to wait 3 hours
Yeah.
because the couple went off somewhere to take photos.
And that's so sad because you don't need 3 hours to do the photographs.
I've heard that so many times.
But
And you want to spend time with your
yes,
guests.
Yeah.
and it's such a fun part of the day. And for me personally, if we have an off Saturday, I'm like sunset hour. I really want to have a sundowner with Ben because it's such a cool time of
On
the
the
day.
wedding day, that just happens quite a while before sunset. hour,
Yes, but
because
still,
sunset
it's the
hour is
same thing.
Hours.
Sunset hours,
We
hours.
own sunset hour.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I want that for my client.
Yeah.
I want them to experience that and to have those memories and not to miss out on a single part of their day. And it comes back again to pacing your client through the day with photographs. It's not going from photo shoot to photo shoot to photo shoot, like I mentioned before. It's giving them time to actually experience a day without posing.
Yeah.
So very important. From there on out, we do couple shoots.
So, Caroline, I feel like you are just sort of skipping over a part that I do feel is a very interesting part of the day.
The family
The
photo.
family photos. Because so I sort of get to skip it entirely.
Yes.
That's usually where I run back to the chapel, get my tripods, and move all my
Sound
stuff to the
equipment.
reception,
Yes.
which I would have done a lot earlier, but I couldn't. And then you have to do family photos.
Very important photos.
Yeah.
Extremely important, but it's once again a process that needs to be managed very well. So you also give advice to the clients.
Yes, so
beforehand.
ideally you would have a family photograph list
Yeah.
that's been approved and written out before the day. I always, as a rule of thumb, I always advise my clients 10 to 12 group shots per half an hour. That goes to 2 to 3 minutes per group shot. And everybody's like, but it takes a second to take the photo. Yes.
Getting the people together takes much longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the bigger the group, the longer it will take.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is to keep it to your core family, meaning it's your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, and your godparents. And then obviously if siblings are married, etc., they are included as well.
Yeah.
And if we stick to that, it goes fairly quickly and it's really easy. It gets more difficult if we include the whole family.
Yes.
So if we do extended family shots where they would, for instance, say the groom's whole family. And then we're talking cousins and aunts and uncles and married on, and that's hard. To do 28 or 30 people, to get everybody in the same location because Tani Sunny went to the bathroom
Yeah.
and Wilmian is doing canapes and some smoking around. So it's hard to get everybody
Yeah.
together, and that takes a lot of time.
I think it's
And
a bit tiring as well for the couple.
Yes, usually that's where you see frustration
Yeah.
in the couple, like why are they not coming? But it's the nature of cocktail hour, of after ceremony. Everybody's really happy and into the mood of starting to celebrate.
But that is also the area where we tend to get some of our nicest compliments. When
Yes.
people say, you've managed the family photograph process very well. It's happened on the past, our previous wedding
Yeah.
on Saturday
Yeah.
as well, where afterwards some of the parents came to us and they said, thank you for
Yeah.
the way in which you managed
Yeah.
the entire process.
Yeah, good. I've also seen a few times where it helps a lot if you have an MC or a family member that can just take charge and help at least prepping the next group,
Yes.
Yeah.
because that takes it makes your workload a little bit
Yes.
easier, so you can focus more on getting the shots.
So I'm not involved at all with getting the people together.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah.
Ben liaises with either the MC or family member or bridesmaid, and he kind of groups.
Oh, sorry.
Uh-uh.
Mark Darmatla.
He kind of groups everybody together for the next shot. Here's the one thing that I think takes up a lot of time, and it's completely unnecessary for most people, but I want to do it. If I do a family photograph, it is very important for me to check that you look good on this photograph. So I know I can probably snap it in a minute, but if I can just tell you, just move your shoulder a little
Yeah.
bit so I can see your outfit, because obviously you've taken care to pick out what you're going to wear to this day, especially the moms. Like put your hand on his arm or just pull open a bit more, just move a little bit more to see like what you wore. Or it's so important, and that takes time to do it properly.
Yeah, no, but I mean, with everything you do and everything that we do, we do our utmost best to do it properly.
I have
Yeah.
seen that with you over the years, that it doesn't matter it's the first or the last family photo. You would go all in and
Yeah.
make sure every photo receives, or every group receives the same attention and care,
Yeah.
so that they look their best
Yeah.
and they get the best
Because
photo.
it's your formal photos
Yes.
at this
Yeah.
point. So we have done ceremony, we've done canapes, cocktails, family photos.
Depending on how it's done. On
And
the
that gets
timeline.
moved around depending on lights, and it's called on the day.
And the couple's preference, etc., and the planner's preference. So all of that happens way before the wedding
And on the day as well.
and on the day as well. Yeah.
Okay, and now we move on to creative time, which is your entourage photos with your bridesmaids and groomsmen. We start with that. Again, depending on light, venue, and weather. And then after that, we do your couple photos. And this usually happens during sunset hour, which is your soft light with golden sunsets, unicorns, rainbows, butters, sunsets. Everything is just perfect because it's good light. That usually is around an hour.
Yeah.
So 15 minutes for your entourage. Sometimes they allocate more time for me, and I'm really grateful for that. It means I can do a bit more with your bridesmaids and groomsmen. And then an hour for your couple shoot.
Ideally, we don't have to drive anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
But sometimes you do, and that's fine as well. That's fun. This is like really mushy stuff and non-mushy stuff, and being together and making jokes and walking and talking
And you get these amazing groups of groomsmen and bridesmaids that
Yes.
are so much fun and
Yes.
full of jokes. And
Yes.
they've put the couple first on the day, and they're really making an effort.
such
to
a
make-
hype squad.
And also, when you feel included as the photographer and the videographer, that you're really part of that group and they've pulled you in,
Yeah.
then the next hour is a lot of fun.
Yes. It's hard to explain what we do.
It's hard.
Excuse. It's hard to explain what we exactly do during couple shoots. It's more of an emotion
Yeah.
and a feeling. I think that's why we're struggling to kind of like, what do we do here? What do we say about
Why
this?
is the couple shoot so important from a photography perspective?
Well, it's pretty, and it's your portraits together to showcase not only how you looked, but to hopefully capture that you are in love.
I think, and I'm struggling as well. I think the video is also struggling. I think it's the culmination of Yayoi is visiting us. Yayoi. Yeah. Ai. Say it nou so.
Wow. Nimble.
So you've tried repeatedly to now kind of explain what a couple shoot is, and all three of us we're struggling. I think maybe because it's the culmination and the essence of everything that happens on a wedding day.
Yeah.
And it's a couple shoot tries to capture the love of two people. And you can't really put that into words. And it's very interesting. Yes, during a couple shoot, we are very much, as we've said in a previous podcast, we're very much focused on the lights and the setting and is everything looking right. But the actual shooting and the actual capturing is very much an instinctive
Yes.
thing.
It's a mythical creature.
It's not a textbook thing. No textbook can teach you
No.
to photograph two people and to try and capture that.
Because it's a different dynamic every time.
Yeah, and I do think that's also where you try to tell the love story primarily. So it's a difficult section to talk about, but it's always very fulfilling, and couples tend to, well, they don't tend to, all couples that we work with after the couple shoot says that was so much fun.
Yes, we do try to make it fun. So there's a lot of banter. There's a lot of jokes going around, because it's horrible if you tell somebody, smile.
Yeah.
It's much better to make a joke and just to keep the spirits up and to banter along and walk and talk.
And at that stage, the bridegroom's also kind of, to a large extent, depleted. Guys also have a tank of photography. They can take so many
Photos.
photographs. And at that stage, you have to understand that you have to bring everything that you've got.
Yeah, you have to set the energy and people will match that.
And it's not only banter.
No.
It's like there's a lot of beautiful moments in between, but you have to keep spirits up.
I think also that's usually the part where the bride and groom, especially the groom, will start thinking about, I'm going to have to do a speech next.
Yeah.
Or we're doing an opening dance, I didn't anticipate. What will the dress do?
Yeah.
So I think your thoughts kind of go that way, but it's fun. Let's just put it like that. It's not stiff, it's not uncomfortable, it's fun.
Yeah, I see, if I think about my editing process, when I have everything on the edit bench in front of me, I have all these different sections of the day.
Yeah.
But the couple shoot is the glue that brings all
Yeah.
those pieces together, and then it solidifies.
Yeah.
Because it is about them, it's their love story. So that's sort of the part where you capture the focus point of the day.
Yeah.
And the rest is built around that. And I think I agree with you, Ben, that the energy needs to be kept at a point where it comes across that we are not at a part in the day where we are now feeling
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
It's still part of the excitement of the day, even
Yeah.
though it's at a later stage in the day.
And at that stage, we've had a long day already. So,
Yeah.
so at that stage, we have every reason to be a bit tired.
Yeah.
We haven't, for a long time, we haven't had any quiet time or rest.
Yeah.
But it's
And-
the most exciting.
But that's the thing. So as we spoke earlier, you have to be hydrated.
Yeah.
You have to be fed. You don't want a hungry photographer. You don't want a hungry videographer.
Yeah.
You also have to make sure that the couple has eaten, that they're okay.
Yes.
And we always have like little energy sachets, like those McNabb sachets or whatever.
I have had a bride pass out in a couple shoots.
Yeah.
Is it? So
Yes.
we have to try
Because
and do
they're not
everything.
fueled.
Yeah, we need to try and do everything that we can to just,
Yeah.
without being intrusive or being, that person that mommies a bride the whole time. We don't want to be that.
Yeah.
But I will just ask, have you eaten? Have you had something to drink?
That's right.
Can I fetch something? Can we ask somebody to bring something?
Yeah.
We've asked the groom many times, are you feeling tired? Then he would say yes, and they're like, I've got this for you.
Yeah.
And it's just like a little McNabb organic, green tea, caffeine, energy sachet. And you give it to the groom and he takes it, or to the bride and the groom, one each, and you can just see them perking. And I've had so many times where we would greet a couple at the end of the day where they would go like, that was just what I needed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Even now I'm feeling better because you saw that we were getting tired when we ourselves did not notice that
Yeah.
we were feeling
Yes.
What I like to do at the end of the couple shoot is to give them 10, sometimes 15 minutes alone time, if possible.
Yeah.
If possible, and if they want it. But 9 times out of 10, we'll walk ahead of them to the venue so that they have time to slowly meander back
Yeah.
and to just soak in a little bit of time without us and without anybody else, just to have a bit of alone time.
I want to quickly talk about our dynamic when we are shooting during the couple shoot, the slightly different expectation of photography towards videography. And I always think about movement and spontaneity. And even though that is amazing for you as well, there are some images where you need them to be in a certain way. You
Yeah.
need the one that goes onto the parents and the grandparents'.
Yeah, to check hand placement
yeah.
or what's the angle of your chin or your shoulder, to take an image that's like, wow, this is fine, to, oh, I like everything about myself in this image.
Yeah, so it usually
Flattering.
starts with a pose and then it goes into movement.
Yes, absolutely. And you're very lucky when we have a couple that does it,
That's expressive.
that's expressive, and that's just who they are.
Yeah.
They are so comfortable with each other that even though we're there,
Yeah,
they can just be as if they're alone.
yeah,
And they can talk about the day that they've just experienced.
Yeah.
And it's all come to that point. And then it's so easy to film that.
yeah,
Because they are just being themselves. I always try and tell couples, just don't ever look at me.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not here.
you need the couple to look at you for photos. But for video, I need them to be as relaxed as possible, as just do your thing.
Again, that's why we banter a lot.
Yes. But I have found us to be in a place where we work very seamlessly during that time. Because we know each other's gear and lenses, the depth or the angle of the lenses, we can move closer and away from the couple, completely in sync.
Yeah.
You never have to tell me this or that.
Yeah, I really have to crop
I don't
you out
have
of
to
the
tell
photo.
you in my shot because we just know.
But you also know the way that I prefer to shoot, to start wide and then go in closer. So,
and you know, in that process of knowing each other and being able to work together and having worked together for a very long time, you add to what you are able to give the client. And unfortunately, you get situations, and I'm sure we've experienced it from the photography and you from the videography side, where sometimes people are just like, they don't want to work together.
Yeah.
which is sad.
That's so sad because the couple comes first. So, yes, in a couples shoot situation, the photographer does tend to take first place.
Yes.
And that's just industry standard.
That's right.
We've had in the past few years where it seems like that's become more difficult. Where it seems like the videographer or the person that represents the company, the videography company, maybe has a bit of a brief like, don't give the photographer space.
Yeah.
You need your shots, get your shots, no matter what it takes.
Yeah. As if we're working against each other, which is ridiculous.
And that's just ridiculous. And we've always made it work. And fortunately, Caroline also is at such a skill level where even with a videographer that and it literally sometimes happens where it does seem to me that they're trying everything to make it as difficult as possible. And it's so sad because it's about the couple.
I've seen videography become more important over the last few years because it has developed so much.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will ever come into that place of priority like photos are.
Unless you're a filmmaker and it's a lifestyle where you're like, to me, this is a personal preference where this is way more important than my photos.
I've had one couple in 9 years that has requested that.
That video takes first place.
She booked me for 12 hours and the photographer for 4.
Yeah.
And she's made it very clear to me and the photographer that video is of utmost importance.
Yeah.
The photos come secondary.
Yeah.
But that is a complete exception.
Yeah. True.
And with that, all that being said, I've just learned to utilize the time where you are in that primary position as much as I can.
Yeah.
And instead of sitting there sulking that I'm not getting shots, how can I get shots while she is busy getting shots?
And I do the same because I'm the second shooter.
Exactly.
So you can get amazing shots and amazing footage just by being 50 centimeters from prime position.
That's right.
I mean, so that is something that once again...
Or perceived prime position.
Yeah, we appreciate that very much in terms of being able to work with you.
Likewise for me. It is a joy.
And that's something that once again you're not going to get if you're working with companies with tons of teams. And once again, there's a place for that. Some people prefer that. I'm not criticizing that. But the service that we like to give involves us and our working relationship.
Yes.
So that's couple shoots. And then after they've had their walk back to the venue on their own to talk and to...
It's reception time.
Reception time.
And my nerves are completely shut because once again, I need to go prepare the sound.
It's no-go time. For me, this is kind of like, okay, the bulk of my work is done now. I can get down a little bit at this stage.
That's when your legs are getting sore.
Yes.
That's when you start to feel the toll on your body.
Yeah.
As a photographer and videographer, that's when you kind of feel like, okay, I've worked hard now.
Yeah.
Go.
And then you've got that short little while where you have sound and stress and everything. Once again, you do it very calmly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the first time I hear that you're actually stressed during that situation.
Yeah, I've never picked that up. I've always seen you go from mic to mic or from camera to camera, but you're very calm.
composed and calm. And that's very important. And I've been thinking that at the end of this recording, we should maybe make just one to put in front or before all of the rest. What we're doing now is just to say that this is from a service provider's perspective. We're giving you the inside information now.
Yes.
But when you see us function on the day,
You would never know
you're going to
this.
see a calm Ben, a calm Caroline,
Yeah.
and a calm De Villiers. We
Yes.
just want to share with prospective clients
Yeah.
what's happening with us. So
What's the
and-
work that goes
and
into
my
it?
concern is not because I have a nervous
disposition.
disposition.
That's been revealed to us now.
My concern is quality of recording.
Yeah.
That's always my concern,
Yeah.
whether it be sound or video or visual. And I need to make sure that when things start with a reception, that I have good quality
Yeah.
audio from more than one source recording, and it's good, and then I'm ready with a camera or two for whatever is about to happen next.
Yeah.
That is my concern.
Yeah, because you take what you do seriously.
Yes, very.
And I mean, it's quite obvious from your videos that your sound is good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And once again, it's that thing of it's your responsibility to make sure that if something goes wrong with one, there is another.
Yes.
Yeah.
That goes without saying. And then my job when we enter reception is to get a glass of red wine for Caroline.
Yes.
Just for the tired legs, because reception time usually I wind down. I start relaxing. I'm not shooting as much as Caroline. I do where flash photography is needed initially, like the couple walking in, etc., etc. But once again, in the reception, Caroline is more than enough.
Yeah.
Preferably without a flash, so that she's not obtrusive, so that she's as unobtrusive as possible. People don't notice her, then she gets the nice candids. And I'm just there in the wings checking Caroline the whole time. Is she okay? Does she need something? Do we need a flash now? Don't we? So once again, I revert back to the role that I've had the whole day, is to make sure that Caroline is able to do her work without any interruption or problems.
You also check timeline, liaise with the planner, etc.
Yes,
And securing a glass of wine.
Securing a glass of wine is very important.
And at this point, I would have had a conversation with the MC about please standing still.
Oh yes, we talked about this in a previous
At the mic stand we have. That is of utmost importance to me, because that enables me to get a clean shot, and I make sure that I'm ready for when he starts speaking. And then obviously speeches is very important for video, and I need to capture all of it.
Yeah.
I make sure that when the speech is about the couple, that I have reaction shots of the couple.
Yeah.
If it's about mom
The
and dad,
parents. Yeah.
then the second camera is on them,
Yeah.
to make sure that we can see how they react to a
Yeah.
speech about them.
And getting to know people during the day is to a large extent not only aimed at getting to know them, because it's nice to get to know people
But
and
to know
that
who
you
the
need a
parents are.
relationship, But then
Yes.
by the time you get to reception, and you need to know who the parents are, and you need to see where they are. So Caroline knows
Yep.
mom and dad, and you know, and I know mom and dad are sitting here and they're sitting here. if it's a very large wedding reception, I would sometimes stand and point to Caroline.
Yeah.
Like, where are the people?
They are there, they are there, they are there. As the speeches happen, I would point out if it's about this set of parents, or if I see the distance is too big for Caroline to cover, that's when I then also go in and I shoot this side, make sure we get that shot, etc.
Because to every week have a different group of people that
Yeah.
range from 80 to 150 people.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember the faces. Sometimes the parents are divorced
Yes,
and
then you
sitting
need-
at completely
one
different
day, yeah.
tables.
Yeah.
And you've got to, you have different sets of parents.
Yeah.
And you've got to know these are the ones they're talking
Yes.
about now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just good people skills to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. And then just generally it just happens.
Yes.
And it differs from bride to bride, from couple to couple,
Yeah.
how your reception will be structured. Some prefer not to do speeches. We've had one or two
Yeah.
weddings where there were no speeches. We've had weddings where there were no openings of dance floors, no garter bouquet. Some emphasize certain parts more than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some, like your father-daughter dance is super important. To other, it can be left out. So it really is personal preference at this stage. I've had clients that booked me for 3 extra hours because they needed to have me photograph the bridesmaids dance together at 11:30, and it was really important for them and they wanted this, and so I stayed. Yet I've got clients that have zero interest of me capturing any of the dance floor.
Yeah.
It's just not important to
Yeah.
them. They don't want it. They'd rather have me photograph something else. So it really is personal preference at this stage.
Yeah. And you know, fortunately once again experience counts in the sense that even if we're unprepared for something happening,
You can still do it.
it's not an issue to photograph it.
No, I see
mean, you
that
don't
often
need
when
to-
there's a birthday, they would announce somebody's birthday at the wedding.
Surprise!
But they wouldn't tell you that they're going to be
Yes.
announcing it.
Yeah.
But you can quickly get up and
Yeah.
capture it.
Yeah, absolutely. So receptions are special times. That's when you start feeling the toll on your body. But you know, it's a very satisfied feeling that you've photographed everything.
You've done a good
gotten
day's
to
work.
the point, and you know you can actually just sit down on a chair for a short while and just take stock.
Yeah.
And what I enjoy is that we do get at that stage of the day, at that point in time, you've built relationships with people.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
yes, you get to interact with everybody in a much more casual setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no
Informal.
expectation. So I talk to so many people, and I've learned.
You're really good with that.
I do
Small talk
enjoy
things.
that. And you learn so much, and it's really so wonderful to be able to interact with so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's such a cool part of the job,
yeah.
to meet new people and to interact with them. Now we get to the favorite part of the day.
What's that?
Waiting for De Villiers to pack up his
Oh
sound
yes, waiting
equipment.
for the video to back up his. But he has now
This
made
is
a
an
point
inside joke. We waited for him once,
once for
but for-
5 minutes.
not even. And now,
Now it's an
We
inside
joke about it.
So
Yep, to pack up my sound.
yes,
you came to us the other day, like
half an hour before we were done, you're like, my sound is packed.
I packed my sound. I just
Yeah.
want you guys to know I packed.
Yeah,
my sound.
because as a videographer, I tend to have more equipment, gear
Yes.
that needs to be
Stowed
gathered from everywhere.
Where you've like carelessly thrown your
Yes.
stuff around in the reception area.
Yeah, so
Not really.
once again, as pedantic and as I like to be when preparing to leave the house, I'm just the same when gathering all my things again from the venue and making sure that I have everything when we leave.
Like Mother Hen getting her chicks back.
I do not want to drive back to Hoedspruit
No.
or
No.
Organize a
Nelspruit
courier service
No.
or whatever.
because I left a lens cap.
Oh.
I do not want to do
But
that.
you would not do that for a lens cap.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah, then it's the drive back to either the accommodation or
Home.
home.
I'm not usually present for this part.
No, you sleep in the car.
On the back seat.
Yeah, if we drive together,
Yes.
otherwise on the passenger seat, if
Yes.
it's just two of us. Yeah, we can do 2 or 3 podcasts on the experiences we've had on the roads driving back. from
Yes,
weddings.
that's a completely different story.
That's like a set of stories. But generally, you feel very happy, fulfilled, satisfied, grateful. We're always very grateful
Yes.
for being, the chosen service providers, visual service providers at a wedding.
And sharing in this massive thing in people's lives.
And you go back and you think about people and you remember people. And I think that was one of the hardest things about COVID when we couldn't do as many
Yes.
weddings as you've kind of got this empty space in your mind that was usually filled with thinking about people, wondering about people, remembering what they told you. It's very special to be part of that and to be let into people's lives. And it's always so special when they come back, for example, to the studio or you meet them somewhere later on. And
Or at a wedding again.
at a
Yeah.
wedding
Yeah.
again. Yeah, we've seen some couples, some weddings, you go and you do the friend's wedding and you do other friends' wedding.
Or
and
the whole family.
it's almost like a reunion.
Yeah.
You do
Yes.
all the brothers and sisters' weddings, etc., etc. So it's very special. But all in all, it's wonderful. And then you go to bed, and then you wake up, and then you have a hangover.
Then you have a hangover.
You have a hangover.
Thank you. That's how you get a hangover, ladies and gentlemen.
And then you go back to being a mom and dad, and
Yeah.
being ready for church Sunday morning, and life goes on, and
Yeah.
and but you take very special memories with you, and it's just really an honor to be part of people's lives.
Well, it's been amazing
Thank you.
chatting with you about the actual day and what it's like.
On a Monday
And-
after a wedding.
May we still have many.
many,
Yes.
many. We are
Let's do this.
ready for many more.
Enjoy your week.
Thank
Yeah,
you. You too.
likewise.